Doyle writes, and this kind of goes with Carrie's question from a moment ago about freight brokers. Is the industry oversaturated? Doyle, he says, I hear people talking about good freight brokers and bad freight brokers. What makes a good freight broker? What makes a bad freight broker? What makes a good one? What's the difference between a good freight broker and a bad freight broker? Well, a good freight broker and a bad freight broker, everybody, I think, honestly, I think everybody starts out as a bad freight broker with a desire to become a good freight broker. Everybody starts as a bad freight broker because you're new, okay? You're inexperienced. I mean, you may have the training and you're ready to get out there and start doing it, but pretty much everybody starts as a bad freight broker. You got to start taking steps to become a good freight broker. Otherwise, you're going to stay a bad freight broker at best, if you don't do anything to become a good freight broker, mediocre. Who wants to be mediocre? You're not in this to be mediocre. If you want to be mediocre, you go out here and get a job, 40 hours a week, $15 an hour, or whatever. See what I mean? People become freight brokers because they have that entrepreneurial spirit. They want to be self-employed. They want to be in control of their own destiny. And in this world today, especially after this coronavirus thing we've gone through the last couple of years, especially with what's happening now in the world, you don't know if your company's going to close down tomorrow. You're going to get laid off. You don't know anything. You're in control of your future as a entrepreneur, being self-employed. Being a freight broker allows you to be an entrepreneur, be self-employed. Doesn't matter if you're starting your own freight brokerage or starting out as a broker agent contracted onto an existing broker. You're your own boss. Now, don't romanticize this. A lot of people romanticize it. They start thinking, hey, I'm going to be a freight broker. I'm not going to have to drive to work every day. I'm not going to be stuck, at that job that I don't like. I can tell my boss to Johnny Paycheck it, if you don't know what I mean. I've dated myself. But you probably know what I mean already. You go out here and, hey, I can be a freight broker. I can work from home. Most brokers do work out of their house. Now, if you're a brokerage company, you're probably growing to where you have your own office space because you got other people working with you, for you. But freight broker, 1 or 2 person operation, more time, a freight broker agent especially works out of their house. Low overhead. You are your own boss. Nobody's standing over your shoulder, making sure you're making the calls, doing what you should be doing. It's your business. People romanticize that. They like it. Hey, my commute's going to be from the bedroom to my office in the house, That line at the coffee pot, though. What happens, though, they get out there and they start brokering. They find out, hey, this is work. It's work. It takes time. It takes time to build that business up. You got to go through that startup period. In that startup period, you're building the customer base. You're starting to figure out what's what. You're starting to learn what customers have loads that trucking companies want. What loads are making your phone ring? Which of your customers have good freight? I'm talking about freight that satisfies the need of a carrier. There are 3 things that trucking companies looking at basically when they're thinking about a load. Destination, where is that load going? What is the weight of that load, and what does it pay? You get in the ballpark on those 3 things, you will get a truck for that load. See what I mean? But what makes a good freight broker? What makes a bad freight broker? A good freight broker is paying attention to the details. You are not putting your customer in jeopardy with the decisions you make. You have to understand your customer, that person in shipping that you deal with on a daily basis, they can be fired for mistakes. What kind of mistakes? Let's say you've got a flatbed load going from point A to point B. You know that most of your customers' loads are tarped, but this load, you get the paperwork from the customer. It doesn't say anything about tarps. What do? You just ignore it? Just put it on the truck and you don't say anything about tarps? Of course not. This is where that customer service comes into play. You get on the phone with your customer. You call your customer. Hey, Jimbo, man, got this load going from point A to point B, but it doesn't say anything about tarps. Does this load need to be tarped? Oh my gosh, yeah, get that. Yeah, it needs to be tarped. Get it tarped. If you would have let that fly, and that truck did not tarp the load, it's not going to be your fault because the customer didn't tell you. It wasn't on their paperwork. It's going to be your customer's fault. That person in shipping that you work with on a daily basis, they made the mistake. It's going to all fall back on them. They could be fired. That could be almost. That would be a terrible thing for your person that you deal with on a daily basis in shipping, but it's going to be terrible for you because now they can't trust you anymore. You see what I mean? Now you've set yourself up as the broker that doesn't have their back. You got to prove to your customer, hey, you're watching out for them all the time. You know, if you've got a customer, that individual in shipping, if they know that you are watching out for their mistakes, they're going to want to use you more because they're going to feel safe with you. See what I mean? That's one thing that makes a good broker. Customer service. Being honest. Tell the truth. Communicate. There are so many brokers out there, when something goes wrong, they try to hide it for as long as they can, and when they do, eventually, because the truth is going to come out, when the truth does come out, which it will, it's going to be obvious that you knew about it for a long time, and that customer's not going to be able to trust you anymore. You got to be honest, and good brokers, good with the carriers too. A good broker, you're honest with the carrier about the load, the good and the bad. Okay? I know in sales, sell the steak, not the sizzle or whatever it is. But be honest. If the load can't deliver till after 4 o'clock on whatever day, don't tell them it can deliver that next morning or whatever. You see what I'm saying? If it's going to be a driver assist load where the driver has to get out there and help load it or unload it, or maybe lump the whole load, don't hold that back. Be honest about it. The truth is going to come out. I told you my story about the broker when I was driving. Walmart load. I knew it was going to be a driver assist. Back in those days, a Walmart load, if you're going to a Walmart warehouse, yeah, if you were the driver, you were getting out of that truck and going back into the warehouse, helping them unload that truck. Yeah, the broker swore up and down I wouldn't have to. I knew I'd have to. I knew it. You won't have to. So I told him, I said, okay, I'm taking your word for it, but make sure you've got a place where I can take this load because I'm going to drive all night to get it there, and I'm going to be too tired to get back there and fool with it in the morning. I'm going to want to lay down and nap. Nah, you won't have to worry about that. Got you covered, driver. You're good to go. Sure enough, I get there. It's driver assist. I called the broker. Hey, where do you want me to take this load? What do you mean, where do you want me to take it? I want you to take it to Walmart. Well, I'm at Walmart, but I told you yesterday that if it was driver assist, you better have a place for me to take it because I'm not going to do it. Because you told me I would not have to lay a fingerprint on that load. Yeah, he started backing up. But, no buts to it. If you want me to touch that load, it's going to cost you a couple $100. He ended up paying me more, but the thing is, I knew it going in. I knew it. I knew he was lying to me. You see what I'm getting at? If he would have been if he would have been truthful with me, just up front, tell me, hey, man, I'm sorry, but yeah, it's Walmart. You know how it goes. They're going to make you touch it. You're going to get that back there and assist anyway. I may have not liked it, but I would have known about it. What really tripped my trigger was that he lied to me. Don't lie. As a broker, you've got to have your integrity. You got to be truthful. You got to be honest. That reputation is going to follow you throughout your brokering career, throughout your transportation career. You know, as a broker, there are a lot of company drivers you're dealing with right now that someday will own their own trucking company. See what I mean? You could be developing that relationship now. As a broker, as an entrepreneur, what you do today may not pay off for several weeks, several months, maybe years down the road. But it's what you do today that's going to make the difference. So, what makes a good freight broker? What makes a bad freight broker? A good freight broker pays attention. They do what they should be doing on a daily basis. A bad freight broker, they're generally out of the business before too long. They're not doing anything to help anybody. They are just order takers, to get right down to it. Doyle, I hope that helped you out a little bit.